The image you're looking at represents the force of a nation that once struck the Pacific Fleet head-on, pulling the United States into the largest conflict in human history. But that was the last century. Today, at the end of 2025, that same nation has become a critical link in America's frontline defense strategy in the Pacific. Yes, we're talking about Japan. What matters most isn't the past, it's the new geopolitical reality. The United States brings the striking power. Japan brings something harder to replace: battlefield awareness and control of the maritime battle space. Put them together and you get a full-spectrum deterrence system without firing a shot. And Japan is accelerating at a pace that should make everyone pay attention. Defense budgets keep breaking records. Multi-billion-dollar procurement packages are being funneled straight into the Navy and the Air Force. This is no longer a routine modernization. This is deliberate force multiplication, designed to turn Japan's maritime self-defense force into a real deterrence pillar inside the alliance. In this video, we're going to break down the true power of Japan's Navy. What are they building offshore to turn the entire island chain into a trap? To turn the ocean itself into a massive early warning system? What is the real engine behind this transformation? And here's the one question no strategist can avoid. When Japan has both a hardened shield and a long-range counterstrike mindset, how will China and North Korea respond? If a conflict ignites tomorrow, whose fleet gets detected and locked first? If you still think Japan is just a quiet partner in the background, completely outmatched by China's rise, the facts you're about to hear will force you to rethink the balance of power in the Pacific. Why has Japan's Navy hit the accelerator on modernization? To understand why Tokyo refuses to move slowly at sea, you only have to look at the map. For Japan, this is not a flex. It is not a headline. It is survival. Japan lives on maritime lifelines: energy, industrial components, food, exports. Everything that keeps the country running crosses the ocean. If those sea lanes are pressured, Japan does not just lose a military position, Japan risks an economic shutdown. That is the difference. Now look at what is happening on Japan's doorstep. In the last few years, the Pacific has shifted into something far more dangerous. Not peace, not open war. Something in between. That gray zone where pressure is constant and every day is a test of nerves. China has become the primary strategic challenge, accelerating military investment and pushing harder around the Senkaku Islands. And by late 2025, the tempo escalated sharply. From September through November 2025, China's carrier groups, Liaoning and Shandong, conducted extended operations in sensitive waters between Okinawa and Miyako. This was not sightseeing. This was calibration, testing reaction time, decision speed, and political will. By December 2025, Japan reported more than 40 cases of Chinese Coast Guard ships entering the 12 nautical mile zone that Japan claims around the islands. Encounters became routine, dense, exhausting. Japan's Coast Guard had to sustain constant operations just to keep coercive maneuvering from becoming a new normal. And then came the kind of moment that military professionals do not brush off. In December 2025, Japan's Ministry of Defense said Chinese J-15 fighters performed radar lock-ons against Japanese surveillance aircraft over international waters. Radar lock-on is not a greeting. It is the final step before engagement. It is the purest expression of gray zone pressure, pushing right up to the line without openly crossing it. To the north, North Korea's ballistic missile threat keeps missile defense on permanent alert. A ballistic missile descends at extreme speed. You do not get to build early warning after the crisis begins. You get minutes. Whoever detects first, decides faster, and coordinates better controls the risk. Geography makes it worse. Japan is a frontline island chain sitting on strategic sea gates into the Pacific. Control the gates, and you control fleet tempo, undersea routes, and the hiding space where the most dangerous pieces move. That is why the US-Japan alliance is evolving. In modern warfare, victory is not only firepower, it is real-time situational awareness. The United States brings power projection and long-range strike. Japan brings detection, tracking, and control of the maritime battle space. Put those together, and the ocean becomes a chessboard where fewer moves go unseen. So here is the real question. In the last few years, and right now, what exactly has Japan's Navy been building and upgrading to face these pressures head-on? Let's break it down. DeathNet. When the ocean can hear you. If you want to understand why Japan's Navy makes adversaries hesitate, don't start with how many missiles they have. Start with what they do better than almost anyone on Earth. Anti-submarine warfare. ASW. The art of hunting what you can't see. In Japan, ASW isn't a single weapon or a single platform. It's an ecosystem. A layered predator network linking the sky, the surface, and the seafloor. Designed to turn enemy submarines from ghosts into tracked targets. And the power of that network comes from one ruthless cycle. Detect, classify, track, kill. Japan doesn't need luck to win an undersea fight. They need precision in silence. Layer 1 lives in the dark. Japan's submarines. The Soryu class and the newer Taigei class. These boats aren't terrifying because they sprint. They're terrifying because they disappear. They're diesel-electric submarines. That means diesel engines charge the batteries, but when it's time to go quiet, the boat runs on electric power to cut noise. Simple idea, deadly execution. And Japan pushed that execution forward with lithium-ion batteries, meaning higher energy density and faster recharge compared to older lead-acid systems. The result is more time moving quietly underwater and less time snorkeling when a submarine raises a mast near the surface to run generators and recharge. Snorkeling is exposure. Less exposure means fewer chances to get caught. In submarine warfare, the winner is rarely the fastest ship. It's the platform that hears first, understands first, and stays hidden the longest. Layer 2 is the sky. Japan's P-1 Maritime Patrol aircraft. A purpose-built hunter designed to search wide areas fast, then close the kill chain. P-1 drops sonobuoys, which are small sonar listening devices that form a sensor field in the water. It also uses MAD, the magnetic anomaly detector, a sensor that can pick up subtle changes in Earth's magnetic field caused by a large metal object moving below. That matters because submarines don't have to be loud to be found. Sometimes they just have to exist. And P1 doesn't just search, it carries weapons, torpedoes. The moment the picture becomes clear, surveillance can turn into an attack. Backing it up are SH-60 helicopters operating from destroyers. They are the quick reaction blade. When a contact pops up, the helicopter moves in and uses dipping sonar, a sonar sensor lowered into the water on a cable to localize and confirm the target. Then it can deliver a lightweight torpedo. And above all of that, unmanned aircraft extend endurance. Systems like Sea Guardian can stay aloft for more than 24 hours. That means persistent coverage without burning out crews. In modern naval warfare, time on station is power. Layer 3 is the surface wall. Japan's destroyers, especially ASW-optimized classes, don't just carry missiles, they carry ears. This is where ocean physics becomes a weapon. The sea is not uniform. Temperature and salinity create layers that bend sound and hide submarines under thermal barriers. That is why Japan uses multiple sonar types. TAS, towed array sonar, is a long sonar array dragged behind the ship to listen farther and reduce self-noise. VDS, variable depth sonar, is a sonar body that can be lowered to different depths to find the layer where sound travels best. If you listen at the wrong depth, you can be blind. VDS lets you put the sensor where the target is hiding. And once the target is locked, Japan can kill at standoff range. VLASROC, the vertical launch anti-submarine rocket, fires from a ship's vertical launcher and delivers a torpedo into the water near the contact. That means the ship doesn't have to charge into danger. It can strike from distance. But here's what takes Japan's ASW from impressive to frightening: the network. Japan operates in a network-centric kill chain, meaning data from aircraft, ships, submarines, and sensors can be shared fast enough to act on it. One platform detects, another confirms, a third delivers the weapon. A patrol aircraft finds the pattern, a destroyer cues a helicopter, and a Japanese submarine may already be waiting in the best position for the decisive shot. This is exactly how the United States likes to fight, and Japan runs it with disciplined precision, and it's not slowing down. Looking forward, Japan is investing in XLUUVs, extra-large unmanned underwater vehicles, to expand surveillance, lay traps, and deploy decoys without putting sailors at risk. You can dodge one ship, you can evade one aircraft, but escaping a continuous layered undersea surveillance web is a different problem. China may have more hulls, more missiles, more sheer volume. But volume matters less when your submarines can't reach firing position without being tracked. Japan understands that, and they are betting on one thing: dominance in the silent war. Acoustic dominance. The undersea kill zone. If Japan's layered sensor network is the nervous system that sees the battlefield coming, then its submarine force is the hidden fist beneath the water. This is where control is established without a speech, without a warning, without a single headline. Tokyo's philosophy is brutally practical. Japan doesn't build submarines to cross the ocean for prestige. Japan builds submarines to win at its own front door. And Japan's front door is not open water. It's a maze of straits and choke points, sea gates like the Miyako Strait and the Tsushima Strait. These are forced corridors. If an opposing fleet wants to push into the Pacific, it doesn't get to choose any route it wants. It has to pass through gates, and that's the point. A gate only needs one silent hunter. One submarine in the right water can slow an entire task force. It forces escorts to spread out. It forces aircraft to burn hours searching. It forces commanders to assume the worst. And fleet tempo collapses before the first shot is fired. The most feared platform in that playbook is Japan's newest diesel-electric attack submarine, the Taigei class. The name means great whale, but what keeps adversary planners awake isn't speed, it's endurance in silence. Taigei leverages lithium-ion batteries, meaning higher energy density and faster recharge than older lead-acid designs. The tactical payoff is simple and brutal. More time operating quietly on electric power, less time snorkeling. Snorkeling is when a diesel-electric submarine raises a mast near the surface to run generators and recharge. It is the exposure window, the vulnerable moment, the classic Achilles heel. Cut that window down, and the submarine stops behaving like a coastal ambusher. It starts behaving like a persistent hunter. And that's why Taigei blurs the line between conventional submarines and the kind of day-after-day endurance people associate with nuclear boats. But silence alone doesn't win the undersea fight. You also have to hear first. That's where Japan pushes for acoustic dominance, meaning the ability to detect, isolate, and track a submarine's signature inside a chaotic ocean environment. With advanced sonar systems, including configurations often sited around Japan's newest boats, and improved signal processing, the goal is to pull a faint propeller trace out of shipping noise, currents, and seabed clutter. Hear first, track first, lock first, strike first. In the dark ocean, that is the only rule that matters. Now, here's where the story turns strategic. By late 2025, Japan's posture began shifting from a passive gatekeeper to something far more dangerous. Tokyo is moving toward undersea standoff strike, long-range counterstrike capability from platforms that are, by design, hard to find. That includes discussion around vertical launch capacity, VLS, vertical launch system, meaning dedicated vertical tubes that let a platform carry and fire missiles in a more flexible loadout than relying only on torpedo tubes. And it includes integration pathways for long-range cruise missiles like Tomahawk, a precision land attack missile with reach measured in the thousands of kilometers. The deterrent logic is straightforward. A submarine that can launch long-range strike weapons doesn't just threaten ships at sea, it threatens the infrastructure that keeps a campaign alive on land. It turns an unseen platform into a strategic problem. And then came a signal that would have sounded unthinkable in Japan a generation ago. Public-level discussion in Tokyo about next-generation propulsion and the possibility of nuclear-powered submarines. SSN, a nuclear-powered attack submarine, meaning sustained high speed and long endurance without the need to snorkel. Japan has not declared a decision, but the fact the concept is on the table tells you the pressure environment has changed. Because if Japan ever moves to SSNs, it expands the battle space. It extends presence, and it makes any attempt to bottle Japan up near its coast dramatically harder. Japan doesn't need to speak loudly on the surface. They're doing something more intimidating. They're turning the waters around the island chain into a place where intruders don't just face resistance, they face uncertainty. And uncertainty kills tempo. So the question is no longer who has more carriers or more missiles. The real question is this. When you combine a sensor network with fewer blind spots, with Taigei-class hunters that can stay quiet longer, and a future that points toward undersea long-range strike, would you gamble your fleet's survival pushing into waters where you might already be tracked and never even know it? The unbreakable sea fortress that can strike back. For decades, the world got used to a Japan that raised a shield and stayed there. But by late 2025, that picture was torn apart. Tokyo is executing a historic shift. From a passive shield to a sharpened spear, built around long-range counterstrike. The core idea is standoff defense, meaning Japan no longer waits for an enemy to get close before it responds. Instead, it aims to hold key targets at risk from a distance, early and with precision. By late 2025, Aegis-equipped destroyers like JS Chokai began the path toward operating Tomahawk, a long-range land attack cruise missile with reach around 1,600 kilometers. That single number changes the geometry of the map. It means critical nodes that used to feel safe now sit inside a threat ring. In parallel, Japan accelerated the improved Type 12 program, a standoff missile effort widely discussed as moving toward the 1,000-kilometer class. With low observable shaping and modern guidance, the message is clear. Japan wants the ability to strike launch sites and maritime threats before they can close the distance. And Japan is not building this posture for slow targets. It is designing it for carrier strike groups. That is why hypersonic capability entered the conversation at full volume. HVGP, High Velocity Gliding Projectile, is designed to fly fast and maneuver, complicating interception. In plain terms, it is meant to make even the most heavily defended surface ships think twice. Because a weapon that can change its path at extreme speed compresses reaction time to the edge. At the same time, Japan crossed a historic threshold at sea by converting the Izumo class from helicopter carriers into true light carrier capability. By late 2025, JS Izumo and JS Kaga had completed major flight deck modifications for F-35B operations, including heat-resistant deck treatment and structural changes for sustained fixed-wing use. That matters because it gives Japan an option to generate air power and maritime control in the Southwest Islands without relying only on land bases. It expands the air defense picture. It extends the maritime chessboard. Now, zoom out to missile defense. Japan is building what are essentially floating fortresses. ASEV, Aegis system-equipped vessels, are designed as dedicated missile defense platforms. Often described around the 12,000-ton class, they are built to carry large sensors and a deep magazine for interceptors. Their planned radar suite includes Spy-7, widely regarded as one of the most powerful modern maritime radars in service. The point is not just protecting ships. The point is strategic coverage, tracking, and engaging threats from the upper atmosphere into the space layer where missile defense is decided. Japan is also solving a constraint most militaries do not like to admit out loud: manpower. With demographic pressure tightening, Japan is pushing fleet automation hard. The Mogami class and the planned new FFM concept emphasize reduced crew operations with modern combat systems in a highly digitized combat information center. The objective is simple: fewer sailors, more output. More days at sea, more ships kept ready. And in the new FFM vision, greater vertical launch capacity, often discussed as a 32-cell VLS loadout, meaning the ship carries more missile options without growing the crew. And Tokyo is not only preparing for today's war, it is investing in weapons meant to change the economics of tomorrow's war. Japan has tested an electromagnetic railgun at sea, a system that uses electrical energy to launch a projectile at extreme velocity. The strategic appeal is cost per shot. If it works at scale, you move from spending millions per interceptor to spending far less per engagement. In the same spirit, Japan is developing shipboard lasers in the 100 kilowatt class to defeat drones and small threats, solving the problem every navy fears: burning through expensive missiles to swat cheap, unmanned swarms. Beneath the surface, the Taigei class submarine remains a centerpiece, and all of it converges on one map: the first island chain. Japan has strengthened key islands like Ishigaki, Miyako, and Yonaguni with radar and missile infrastructure that tightens surveillance and response windows. Network that with US forces, and the effect is cumulative. A layered ring of sensors and shooters that watches the exits, tracks the movement, and raises the price of every mile an opposing fleet tries to push forward. Japan is no longer the ally standing quietly behind the line. With long-range counterstrike, dedicated missile defense ships, carrier-capable aviation, undersea lethality, and automation built for sustained tempo, Tokyo is redefining deterrence in the Pacific. Beijing may build hulls faster, but Japan is working to make every meter of contested water more expensive, more dangerous, and harder to hold. Japan's Navy, China's real problem in the Pacific. China does not just watch Japan because of Aegis destroyers or F-35B fighters. What truly worries Beijing is something no defense budget can buy in a decade: geography. Look at the map. Japan is not just a country. It is an island chain sitting like a lock bar, a linchpin across the front door of the Western Pacific. In any serious contingency, Japan does not need to strike first to apply pressure. Just by holding its position, every opposing naval plan becomes more expensive, slower, and riskier. China wants its submarines in the open ocean. It wants surface action groups pushing farther out to protect energy shipping routes. But to do that, it has to pass through geographic doors, narrow straits threaded through Japan's island chain. This is where Japan becomes most dangerous without firing a shot. With strong surveillance and a dense anti-submarine warfare screen, Japan can take away an opponent's freedom of choice. In modern war, the winner is not only the one who fires first, it is the one who makes the other side's plan stop being reliable. In any Pacific conflict, Japan does not need to strike first. Geography is already on their side. That is not propaganda. That is a structural reality that forces every planner in Beijing to run the math with a cold spine. But geography is only half the story. The other half is something no country can copy or steal: discipline and training culture. Technology is necessary, but the people who run it in heavy seas, under electronic interference, under extreme pressure, are what makes it decisive. You can buy radar, you can study missile designs. You cannot buy the kind of disciplined execution Japan is known for. In Japan's Navy, discipline is not parade ground theater. It is the ability to repeat the correct procedure when the radar picture is dirty. It is a sonar operator refusing to hallucinate a target inside a sea of false signals. It is coordination with U.S. forces down to the second. Japan rarely boasts, because in undersea warfare, boasting means exposing how you hunt. They choose silence, and that is when they are most dangerous. So what happens if a Pacific crisis actually ignites tomorrow? Picture a 2026 scenario. China decides to open with a high-speed opening move aimed at the island chain. But instead of surprise, it runs into a situational awareness network with minimal blind spots. The moment missile units on the mainland begin shifting posture, Allied satellites and long-endurance unmanned aircraft can detect changes in activity and heat signatures. Under the surface, Taigei-class submarines are already positioned near the Miyako approaches, running silent, reducing their profile to near nothing, listening for the rhythm of an approaching fleet. On the surface, Japan's dedicated missile defense ships, including the planned ASEV concept, Aegis system-equipped vessels, bring large radar coverage to the fight. With modern sensors like SPY-7, a high-power radar designed for wide-area tracking, they form a protective dome over the battle space. When the first salvo launches, it does not land on a passive target. Japan activates counterstrike, meaning long-range response, designed to hit the source of the threat. Tomahawk and improved Type 12 class standoff missiles move from distributed positions toward command nodes and launch infrastructure. At the same time, F-35B fighters launch from ships like JS Izumo, establishing forward air control and tightening the air picture near the front line. The real power of the US-Japan alliance in late 2025 is not only the number of warheads, it is the perfect coupling of muscle and nervous system. When the United States has a frontline ally that does not just stand beside it, but also serves as the eyes that expose every hostile movement, the Pacific chessboard changes permanently. Now, every operational plan, no matter how sophisticated, has to begin with one haunted question: can we enter the ocean without being detected? In military terms, if the answer is not certain, that is deterrence in its purest form. Deterrence is not stopping war with speeches. It is planting doubt inside the opponent's mind that any attempt to strike will fail before it truly begins. Japan is making a strategic bet, turning the island chain into a massive net, a matrix of sensors and unmanned systems, stretching from the air, across the surface, down into the deepest trenches of the seafloor. But history gives us one rule: no net is flawless. No defense system is invulnerable. So here is the final question. If Japan and the United States are building a trap this dense, what will Beijing choose to break the net? And will it work? That answer will decide who shapes the Pacific in the decade ahead. This is Future War Tech. See you in the next episode.